Well, hey guys, it's Aaron here, Peahan Shih Tzu, and I got a little something different for you guys today. I am in the wreckage of an old logging town called Bordeaux, Washington, and I am just kind of sitting here chilling. This place was active, its heyday was in the early 1900s, and after a while it had a fire which pretty much shut it down. After that, the military owned it for a while. Not really certain on what they did here, but later on I will show you some of what they did to it. Let's see, it was a cedar shake mill. This forest used to be just huge cedars everywhere. And so let's see, I'm gonna just kind of show some cool historic features. And the first one is, let me see if I can't get it. Okay, right over there. Let's see, can I get my finger? Right at the tip of my finger there, you'll see a little round thing. That is an old water pipe. It's actually made out of wood. Yeah, no lead. This wasn't Flint, Michigan. Water pipe made out of wood, which is pretty interesting. They show things like that in underground Seattle, where they show old water pipes. Same sort of deal. As you can see, like, that's not a fallen tree. That's actually a piece of the old structure that was here. And I am in fact sitting on old growth cedar that's been hewn. I doubt it was hand hewn. Probably done with a saw, since that's what this was, is a big sawmill. Anyway, there are many logging camps up in Capitol Forest, but this was the actual town. This is where it all came together. Where I'm at right now, and right over there, is the modern road that goes through. I am on the mill side of that road, and everything beyond that road going up was the living area. I'll only be able to show you just the tip of the iceberg of that. There, I think you just got an idea of where that road was. That was timed perfectly. Anyway, I can only show you the tip of the iceberg because most of that is still private land that actually has resident there, and they actually live in one of the only left habitable buildings that were made here. So I can't really show you that, but I will show you some of this. I was going to point out another beautiful log. There's a little bit of rot right there. Otherwise, that thing is still solid. Anyway, let's change positions and move on here. I'm going to try to get a close-up of this because it kind of fits the story. If you see that right over there on the bank, that in fact is a chunk of one of the cedar shakes they made. It's authentic history. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's interesting to me anyway, and that's why we're out here today, because it can't just all be about music. That's notable. What do you think of that? All that work that beaver put into that, and yeah, didn't fall. That sucks. Ouch. Anyway, us as human beings kind of understand that feeling because we put a lot of work into stuff that doesn't quite turn out the way we planned. Oh yeah, and I'm not the only one here. I'm not the only crazy man here. Anyway, Let's move locations, and then we'll tune back in. And here we are from another location, and you can see the piers. There was basically a great big boardwalk here. And check that out. Looks like a telephone pole, but it's hollow. Yeah, pretty cool. And there's definitely some concrete. As we can see, big concrete. There's a nice, that's how I got here. That's how I got over. The Department of Natural Resources comes out here and tries to close this down. They take all the ways to cross easily away, but there's always somebody who comes out, and there's plenty of material, and there we go. And if I wait long enough, someone else does it for me, and I don't have to get wet. Anyway, there were a lot of rail systems around here that no longer exist. They weren't actually the same type of railroad as you would think of today. They were much smaller tracks. And some of this, what we're seeing here, these big concrete things, are oftentimes, yeah, nice art. But I digress. They are oftentimes the beds and such that this stuff laid on, this rail system. There's many different building methods using different types of bricks and such. Here is one of the most interesting ones to me, where you have this clay, red clay brick that is this shape, and later on I'll show you how they used that in a structure that still exists. Anyway, to speak a little bit more about those rail systems, I see somebody has fished something out, which is quite interesting. And there is a piece of rail from one of their really small kind of cart lines. Yeah, pretty cool. And as we can see, sorry if you guys are getting seasick, so am I. It ambles along and makes a corner, and then keeps heading that way. So, okay. I'm kind of covering the entrance areas first, and I'm going to make our way to the mill. To the mill we will go. So, you could bring a metal detector out here, and you would be digging for days. It would be futile to bring a detector out. And at this point, I am on top of just huge piles of rubble, which I assume they smashed up and moved into big piles after the fire that pretty much ended this place. Yeah, just big concrete slabs, just big piles that goes who knows how deep. Sometimes you step on one where you see big cracks. Sometimes you step on one and it moves, or it sounds hollow. And it's because it is. Now, all the times I've been here, this right here wasn't so well established. So again, it's kind of nice to not always be the first person, because people discover stuff for you. And the thing is right now, all the brush is grown up as big as it'll get. But the water's low. Now, if you came here in the winter, the water's going to be high, but you're not going to deal with the underbrush so much. And you'll find more features, and I assume that's how people find new stuff. Anyway, I'm going to save you the trip, besides one notable thing. You see that ivy? That's English ivy. And it's kind of synonymous with anything that had an old establishment or anything like that. If you see that stuff just off the side of the road driving through the woods, chances are there's a history in those woods, and it might behoove you to jump out and kind of dig around a little bit, check it out. All right, next location. All right, check out this sucker fish. This is one big foundation block for something. A steam donkey, crane, I don't know. But let's see if I can make it up. I'll show you some distinguishing features about it. Oh, on the hands and knees to get up this one. All right. So, some nice distinguishing features about it. You have these big bolts coming out of it, so something large anchored here. But when you come over here, you have even larger bolts. Check those out. So yeah, something big sat here that did a lot of work. Kind of for perspective, that original waterway that I was sitting on is right there. You see that strip there? And the road is just beyond that. This was a main waterway, and they used it to move stuff like logs and stuff coming down off these mountains. All right, and yeah. And here's some of that English ivy close up. It just covers stuff up. There it is again. So yeah, you see that stuff just kind of in the forest? It might be worth checking out. If you're in Washington, I found it to be true in many places around here. That's kind of how I discover cool spots, is I look for that. All right. Next location? Next location!